The NFL trade deadline is just around the corner, and you already know what that means when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. Howie Roseman is probably already working the phones. The man simply doesn't sleep. While some front offices sit back and wait to react, Howie's always on the attack, trying to put his team in the best possible position to compete. Not just today, but in January and beyond. And when you take a closer look at this Eagles team heading into Week 7, it's clear that upgrades are needed in a few key areas if they want to stay in the Super Bowl conversation. Let's start with the most obvious one, the pass rush. The retirement of Za'Darius Smith caught a lot of people off guard and immediately created a hole in the depth chart. It leaves the Eagles thin at edge rusher, a position that was already in need of more production. Through 6 games, the Eagles have just 9 sacks. That's near the bottom of the league. They rank 25th in total sacks and 27th in sack rate. Now, the pressure numbers look a little better. Over 100 quarterback pressures and more than 70 hurries. But at the end of the day, if you're not finishing plays and bringing the quarterback down, you're not getting the result that matters. Pressures help, but sacks change games. And right now, the Eagles simply aren't getting enough of them. That's why names like Trey Hendrickson or Bradley Chubb have started to pop up in trade rumors. Hendrickson has been one of the most productive edge rushers in the league over the past couple of seasons. 17.5 sacks in each of the last 2 years, more than any player in the NFL during that span. That's elite, plain and simple. Plug him into this Eagles front, and you immediately solve a major problem. Bradley Chubb is another guy to keep an eye on. Familiarity with Vic Fangio's system, a track record of production when healthy, and potentially a more affordable price tag than some of the other big names. Even Cam Jordan, despite being toward the end of his career, brings veteran leadership, toughness, and enough juice to make an impact. And let's not forget about Jalen Phillips, coming off an Achilles injury but still young, athletic, and full of upside. If the Dolphins are looking to make changes, don't rule out a move there either. But the Eagles' needs don't stop at edge rusher. Cornerback, too, has been a revolving door all season, and it's clear the coaching staff isn't fully confident in the current options. A guy like Rick Woolen could be a fascinating target. He burst onto the scene with 6 interceptions as a rookie in 2022, tying for the league lead alongside C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Justin Simmons. He's got elite size, elite speed. Remember, he ran a 4.26 40 at 6'4", and even though his play has regressed a bit, the talent is still there. Maybe all he needs is a change of scenery and a fresh start in a system that believes in him. Vic Fangio might be able to unlock that potential, and if Howie sees an opportunity to buy low on a high-upside guy, you know he'll take it. Speaking of C.J. Gardner-Johnson, the idea of bringing him back has Eagles fans buzzing. He's currently on the Ravens practice squad, which means the Eagles could sign him outright as long as they add him to the active roster. No trade required. And given the current state of the secondary, adding a playmaker like CJ would make a ton of sense. He's got the attitude, the versatility, and the experience in Philadelphia to step in and contribute immediately. It's a move that feels possible, not just a fan wish list item, but a real, strategic addition that could help solidify the back end of this defense. Now, let's pivot to the offensive side of the ball, because honestly, this Eagles offense has been underwhelming all season long. Whether it's the play calling, execution, or just a lack of rhythm, something is clearly off. They rank near the bottom of the league in points per drive, yards per run, yards per pass, and they've had the most 3-and-outs of any team so far this season. That's not a recipe for sustained success. It's not just one thing, it's a combination. And even though head coach Nick Sirianni said there won't be a change in play calling duties after the mini-bye, he also acknowledged that the staff has identified some issues they believe they can fix. One area that's clearly been a problem is the interior of the offensive line. And while it's tough to trade for a quality guard, most teams just don't give those guys up, especially if they have young quarterbacks or are preparing to draft one. Howie has surprised us before. If there's an opportunity to grab someone like Joel Bitonio, Wyatt Teller, or Kevin Zeitler, you better believe he'll be on the phone. But again, interior offensive linemen are one of the hardest things to acquire mid-season. Good ones are rare, and the teams that have them don't want to let them go. That being said, this line needs help, and it wouldn't be shocking if Howie at least kicked the tires on some potential moves. Beyond the trenches, Wide receiver is another position that could see some attention. Not for a number 1 and number 2. A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are locked in, but a true speed threat could make a massive difference. And that brings us to one of the most underrated players in the league, Rashid Shaheed. This guy is lightning in a bottle, a legit burner who can take the top off a defense on any snap. He's not just fast, he's explosive, he's dynamic, and he has the ability to open up the field for the rest of the offense. Imagine him in this Eagles offense, creating space for Brown and Smith while also giving Jalen Hurts another weapon to stretch the defense. It's a move that could pay off in a big way, not just for the deep ball, but for loosening up coverage and creating more opportunities across the board. Now, all of this trade talk isn't just speculation. It's rooted in how the NFL has evolved. The days of conservative general managers sitting on their hands at the trade deadline are long gone. As ESPN's Adam Schefter pointed out, we're seeing more trades than ever before. In the past 6 years, there have been 88 trades in the month of October leading up to the deadline, nearly 15 per year on average. The NFL deadline is now just as active as what we've seen in the NBA or Major League Baseball. That's a massive shift. Younger, more aggressive GMs have taken over the league, and Howie Roseman is right at the forefront of that movement. He's one of the architects of this modern, aggressive approach to team building. And whether you agree with all of his decisions or not, you have to respect the mindset. Now, let's be fair. Not all of Howie's in-season trades have worked out. The Jay Ajayi trade in 2017 was a home run. It helped the Eagles win a Super Bowl. But the Golden Tate deal in 2018? Not much return on that one. The Robert Quinn trade in 2022? A total miss. So there's always risk. But when your team is in win-now mode, and make no mistake, this Eagles team is built to contend, you have to be willing to take swings. Sometimes you strike out, but sometimes you hit a shot that changes the course of your season. That's the game. That's the mentality. And let's not forget, the trade deadline comes right after Week 9. So time is ticking. The front office is watching every snap, evaluating every position group, and trying to decide where a boost is needed most. Pass rush, cornerback, safety, offensive line depth, a speed threat at receiver. All of these areas are in play. And with Howie pulling the strings, no name is ever really off the table. Meanwhile, inside the locker room, head coach Nick Sirianni addressed the media and gave some insight into how the team is approaching this mini-bye week. After that loss to the Giants, a game that was frankly dysfunctional in every sense, the team took some time to reset. Coaches, players, everybody stepped away from the facility for a bit, got some perspective, and now they're back looking for solutions. One of the big questions coming out of that loss was whether rookie linebacker Jahad Campbell could be used more as a pass rusher, given the depth concerns at edge. Sirianni didn't rule it out. In fact, Campbell was recruited to Alabama as a true edge rusher and has shown flashes in that role. In just 23 pass rush snaps this season, he's registered 6 pressures, a win rate of over 26%. That's impressive. And if he can give them anything in that role, even in limited snaps, it might buy the team some time before a move is made. There's also been some chatter about other young players needing to step up, not just to fill gaps, but to spark this team back to life. This isn't just about trades and acquisitions. It's also about development, coaching, and making adjustments. Because as the numbers show, the offense isn't where it needs to be, and the defense, despite solid pressure, isn't finishing plays at a high enough rate. Every level of this team needs to improve, and every player on the roster needs to feel that urgency. While the trade market offers a lot of possibilities, the Eagles still need to look inward and get more from the talent already on the roster. This is not a rebuild situation. This is a team that came into the season with expectations of making another deep playoff run, and the margin for error is shrinking. If the locker room doesn't respond to the urgency of the moment, no amount of trades will be enough to fix it. That's where leadership becomes crucial, not just from the coaching staff, but from the veterans on this team. Guys like Fletcher Cox, Jason Kelce, and Brandon Graham have seen the highs and lows. They've been in those late-season pushes. They know what it takes. And now it's on them to rally the locker room and make sure everyone is locked in for this next stretch. This upcoming game against Minnesota might not look like a huge test on paper, But going into Minneapolis, playing in a loud dome, facing a Brian Flores defense that will throw all kinds of exotic looks at you, it's going to test this offense's discipline and ability to adjust. And if Kevin Patullo is truly sticking with the current defensive approach, as Nick Sirianni indicated, then this is the week where we need to start seeing real change in execution. Let's be honest, this team can't afford to keep wasting drives. The fact that they're near the bottom of the league in first downs, yards per drive, and points per drive tells you all you need to know. The talent is there. Jalen Hurts hasn't been perfect, but he's still capable of leading an elite offense. A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are still one of the best receiver duos in the league. The offensive line, even with its issues, still has experience and physicality. But it's just not coming together. And that falls on everyone: the quarterback, the offensive line, the coaching staff, even the receivers when they're not getting open or dropping passes in key moments. Everybody shares in that blame. And now everybody has to take responsibility for fixing it. There's been a lot of chatter about whether Sirianni should make a change at offensive coordinator or take back play-calling duties. He gave up play-calling back in 2021 and let Shane Steichen take over, and that worked out. But now, with Steichen gone and Brian Johnson calling the shots, things have looked stale. The offense lacks tempo. There's no identity. The run game isn't dictating terms like it used to, and the passing game often looks disjointed. When this team was at its best, they were unpredictable, physical, and balanced. Right now, it feels like defenses are reading the playbook before the snap. That has to change. And what's maybe most concerning is how slowly they're starting games. The best teams in the league know how to script those first few drives and set the tone. The Eagles? They're going 3-and-out way too often. They're wasting possessions and giving opponents early confidence. That's dangerous, especially for a team that's still trying to find consistency on the defensive side. Because if you can't sustain drives, your defense is going to wear down. It becomes a cycle. One side can't get off the field, the other side can't stay on it. And when you're up against playoff-caliber teams, that's a recipe for disaster. Looking at the defense, Vic Fangio is under pressure too. He was brought in with the idea that he'd elevate this unit, bring more structure, more disguise, and help the Eagles transition into a scheme that can hold up in today's pass-heavy league. And to his credit, the pressure numbers suggest the scheme is working to some extent. They're getting after quarterbacks. They're creating havoc. But the secondary isn't holding up. Too many blown coverages. Too many chunk plays. And now, with injuries and unexpected retirements like that of Zadarius Smith, the depth is being tested in a major way. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The NFL has officially announced the cancellation of the highly anticipated matchup between the New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles, sending shockwaves through the football world. Sources close to the league revealed that the decision came after a series of controversial events during the game, which many are already calling one of the most shocking scandals in recent NFL history. According to insiders, newly surfaced footage appears to confirm allegations of a major officiating blunder, or worse, outright cheating, that has left fans and players alike stunned. Social media has been ablaze since the announcement, with clips from the game circulating showing questionable calls that heavily favored the Eagles in critical moments. Analysts and former players are debating whether the cancellation is just the beginning, hinting at deeper investigations that could involve both teams and officials. While the NFL has remained tight-lipped about the specifics, unnamed sources claim that the footage paints a picture impossible to ignore. Crucial plays overturned, penalties seemingly invented, and referees appearing to miss or intentionally ignore key infractions. The Giants organization released a statement expressing disbelief and frustration, emphasizing that the integrity of the sport must come first. Meanwhile, Eagles fans are in shock, caught between defending their team's performance and facing mounting evidence that the game was anything but fair. Betting markets are also reeling, as the sudden cancellation nullifies countless wagers and raises questions about accountability within professional football. This isn't the first time the league has faced controversy. but the timing and scale of the evidence have made this incident unique. Rumors now swirl about potential sanctions, fines, or even replayed games, though the NFL has yet to confirm any concrete actions. For now, fans are left to speculate, debate, and in many cases, demand transparency from a league that has long prided itself on fairness and competition. As the investigation unfolds, one thing is certain. The Giants versus Eagles scandal has already become a hotbed of conversation, dominating sports media and online forums alike. The fallout from this explosive revelation promises to reshape perceptions of the NFL for weeks, if not months, to come. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.